Wayne the RV Inspector here, and today we're going to be talking about some new construction processes that may very well eliminate the biggest enemy of RVs, and that's water damage. For years, RVs have generally been built in one of two ways. And the first way we'll talk about is called the stick and tin method. It's used a lot on towable RVs. And what that means is that you have an aluminum panel or panels on the outside attached to a wooden frame, and then insulation is filled in. And on the other side, you had the interior wall board. Now, this method is actually very effective. It's been used for years in the industry, and it works fine. It's also cheap for the manufacturer to make, and so therefore they can build these RVs and sell them for very affordable prices, and people like that. However, it means that the RV owner has got to vigilantly maintain the seams and joints on the outside of that RV very well so no water can get in, because that's a lot of wood inside the RV. Now, the second method that's been used is called the fiberglass method. That's where you have an aluminum frame instead, and a fiberglass board is put up against the outside. Of course, they fill in the aluminum with insulation in between, and then you have the interior wall that's put up on the outside. All of this is put together, sandwiched, and run through a machine that presses it together, and there you have a solid wall. It's not put together in any pieces. Now, very often, manufacturers in recent years have been advertising that they put some composite material in that wall process. And the material they often use is Asdel. However, what the manufacturer won't be telling you in many cases is there's still plenty of wood being used in that RV, in the floors and in the ceilings. So that still means that the owner of that RV has got to be vigilant. Check those seams and joints regularly, seal them whenever it's needed so no water leaks in. Because if water goes in and damage happens, you're going to see rotting take place in any wood inside the RV. It could be in the floors, the ceilings, the walls, wherever. Now, if it is a stick and tin type of construction, honestly, it's not the end of the world. Because in many cases, you can just remove that outer panel, the aluminum panel where the damage occurred in that local area. You can replace the rotted out section, put the panel back up again, and you're just fine. However, that's not the case with the fiberglass construction. Remember, it's a solid wall. So if water gets in, it often goes down the exterior wall and can cause that fiberglass board to pull away or delaminate from the frame. So what you have then are these big unsightly bubbles on the RV. Now, that is not an easy fix by any means. Some have developed some ways of fixing it locally, but it very often doesn't really look like it should. And of course, you can imagine how expensive it is to replace the entire wall in those cases. So what I've always said is that composite materials will eventually, hopefully, get to the point where they can be used exclusively throughout an RV. So what are we talking about here when we say composite materials? What we're talking about is materials, construction materials that are not organic. In other words, they can't rot. They can't degrade. They are impervious to water. You could take these materials, submerge them in water, and they're really not going to break down much. That includes things like aluminum, like fiberglass, thermoplastic, and composite materials like Asdel makes. Well, here's the good news. My friends, at the 2026 Tampa RV Super Show, I was pleased to see several new travel trailer builders advertising all composite RVs for sale. What that means, no wood is used anywhere in the construction of that RV. Now, generally, they're newer travel trailer builders, like, for instance, Encore RV. And Encore has a few different lines of travel trailers, and they look pretty good. LIV is another manufacturer. Their area was very popular at the show. And here's one you really should take a look at, if for no other reason than to look at the innovative ideas they're using in building their trailer, and that is Pebble. Now, of course, all composite, but they're also using some advanced procedures and features in their RV that you're not going to see almost anywhere else. And I think these features are really going to be incorporated over time. You'll probably see them being used within the next decade. But if you want to take a look at it right now, you can by checking out their website. And it'll kind of give you an idea of some of the good ideas going forward for the RV industry. However, there were some established manufacturers too that were advertising composite RVs, like Palomino with the Paws. Again, what we're talking about, there's no wood being used throughout the RV. So what are the benefits? Well, first of all, the RV itself is usually lighter because composite materials usually weigh less than wood. They're often better insulated because there's a better insulation factor in many cases. Also, many of these RVs are just tough because these materials are tough. And keep in mind that the RV should just last you longer, because there's nothing inside that RV that's going to rot or degrade over time. And therefore, when you buy an RV, it should last you for a much longer period of time without having to replace it. So what I'm hoping is that these kind of methods are going to be incorporated not just in travel trailers, but used throughout the industry. Now, I realize that's going to be a challenge for RV manufacturers because they've got to basically retool the way that they construct RVs. I also realize that it's a more expensive method to build an RV in many cases. So as a result of that, it may actually raise the cost of RVs, and a lot of people aren't going to like that. However, we'll have to see what happens over the next few years and whether these advanced construction processes begin to catch on throughout the industry. What I saw, though, at the show was very encouraging. Now, in the meantime, if you want to know which RV brands are building better quality RVs overall, then download my guidebooks for the various RV categories. And if you want to get an RV at the right price, make sure it fits you and is fully functional when you buy it, then download either my new or used RV buying guide. And when you get any of my guidebooks, you'll always get my personal help in the buying process. And that's it for now. Have safe and happy travels, my friends. Until next time.